Well, yeah, so we're talking about NFTs, our favorite topic on the
NFT,
show
baby.
that we don't avoid talking about all the time. But there were just two stories this week that I just thought that, look, now's the time to have a bit of a, like, bring the NFTs back into the show, talk about, making our NFTs. No. So we've got, yeah, those two stories. So I'll start off with the first one, which is Square Enix. So Square Enix basically are now saying that they want to, we know that Square Enix love NFTs, right? They're all over them, and based on the way they handle mobile monetization, it's not surprising that they're kind of, gearing up for an NFT based future. But what they basically did in a recent 2022 Shareholders Meeting Report, they reiterated their intentions to incorporate NFTs into their business model, including the development of blockchain games and entertainment and the production of NFTs that will focus on stories. So, story NFTs. But they said it's still too early to consider making Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy blockchain games.
What?
And I'm like, yeah, but they're probably not counting mobile on that. Like,
Oh
there
yeah,
would
for sure.
100% be a bloody blockchain Final Fantasy game. Like, all their mobile Final Fantasy games, I'm like, oh, that looks cool, like Brave Exvius and Record Keeper, which is actually shutting down this year now. And then I download them, and I'm like, nah, just the monetization is just so just abhorrent. I feel like, and the thing is, there's good parts about these games, people love them,
Yeah.
but with this whole NFT thing, so bring it back a bit to the recent sale of like Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and Eidos Montreal to Embracer Group. So at the time, in the statement they made, they basically said those sales enable the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including blockchain, AI, and the cloud. And then, like, less than a month, they walked that back and basically, like, oh no, rather than using the proceeds from the divestiture of the properties in new investment domains such as NFT and blockchain, we intend to use them to primarily fund our efforts to foster, solid IP. Basically saying, oh no, we're not going to use the profits from those sales to make NFT stuff. But right after they said they would. So
But the thing is,
it's weird stuff
anything
going
like
on.
that though is a bit of it's all PR bullshit because
Oh fuck yeah, of course.
internally into a company, money is fungible. There's no such thing as like, I'm going to sell this business to get this money and then use that money for this. Money's all fungible. It's basically, here's the budget of what I want to do. You sell things, sure. It's just distributed across the whole budget, right? So
I
they're
know.
still doing the same thing. If they're investing in it, they're not really changing their minds. So,
No, but I'm just saying, like, to have a statement saying it enables them to do that, and then say we're not going to use the proceeds from this to do this. It's like, it's all bullshit and PR, as you said, but
yeah.
it's just weird. Like, they're pretty open about them wanting to do this stuff. So, anyway, story
Well,
NFTs. I'm trying to think, like, what is a story NFT? Do you buy an NFT and you get like a little piece of story content in the game that's using it?
I think
Is that
this,
what it is?
like, and I got to be careful with what I say, but I've observed it at like the most senior levels of like big corporates, how people can just misunderstand something. Like they'll talk about something that I'm like something cutting edge. And, I was like into the crypto stuff right at the start. Like when Bitcoin was like literally a couple of dollars, right? For one Bitcoin. And the amount of like misunderstanding I've seen in that whole field in the last like 10, 15 years is insane, right? But I can see how this can happen where people kind of like look at this thing and they go, like, we're not going to, like, we were left behind with the mobile craze that happened, right? We missed the boat. We missed the good money. Some other companies have come up and like dominated us a bit. And we're getting our hooks into that, but we could have been bigger. And I can totally see like some really senior execs looking at the NFT stuff, the blockchain stuff and go, we're not going to miss out. We've got to get in there. We've got to invest and just not understanding the use case and also like what's the purpose of what's the problem it's trying to solve. And that's always my challenge with this stuff. Like I don't think the fundamental technology is bad, but you can take a really good piece of tech like a hammer, right? And if I try to eat a meal with a hammer, suddenly a hammer looks really bad, right? It's not the hammer's fault. It's like how I'm using it and what I'm applying it to. It doesn't make sense, right? And I sort of look at the whole universe like that, and I just worry about these companies that are going to spend so much money. I feel like they're just going to dust this money, man, and it's a shame. But
Well, I just think, look, yeah, if they have a blockchain based game, right, and then they have, okay, we're going to put on sale all these NFTs and they have unique quests in them, and it's like, oh, I could see that. I've never thought
I
about
hate
that
that
kind
shit,
of.
man.
I've never thought about that idea, but I could see someone at Square Enix being like, yeah, we could make a lot of money off that if we kind of, we base it around one of our properties that people love, and then they feel it's all FOMO. We're missing out on stuff,
Yeah.
and oh god,
I,
it's slippery slope.
I see it like the other way in a weird way where, like, I think the blockchain stuff, but do I need blockchain for this? Not really. But it's almost like there is something cool about the idea that you're laying down tracks that you can never take off. Like that's something a blockchain allows you to do. Like you're doing stuff that can never be fixed, even by the developer. So there's something about that concept I think is appealing. Like the idea, like Ultima Online back in the day, where someone hacked it and killed the creator in game, and they had a funeral for him and everything, like Lord British.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of like if you had a game where it's on a blockchain, but that therefore changes in the game can never be even changed by the developer. Like that kind of stuff is interesting to me, but it's not from a money perspective. It's like from a creativity and like doing something new with the medium,
Well, that's why I was just bringing it back to like them saying that story focus part, because I cannot think of other things, but just trying to understand that. And like, I don't know, maybe is there an NPC in an MMO style shared world game? Is there an NPC linked to that is then now in the world because someone has completed their quest and other people can see them,
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
It
stuff.
is weird.
But the other NFT story, and we probably won't spend too long on this one, is that we've had a new studio headed up by some veterans of I guess was it Visual Arts Service Group and Bend Studio at Sony. Have launched a new studio called Liithos, and their first game is an NFT game called Ashfall. So the two veterans who've got I got rid of his first name from here, but was it?
I'll look it up. I'll look it up quickly.
Yeah, it's something Mumbauer. I had it in there and then I reworded this whole thing, but Mumbauer, he's the CEO of Liithos, and he spent 30 years as the head of Visual Arts Service Group. So they worked alongside Michael Mumbauer.
It sounds like you're
Mike
insulting Michael. Sorry, Mike Mumbauer.
But they often worked as like a support developer alongside like Naughty Dog for Last of Us and Uncharted and that. And he also was recently co-founder of a company called That's No Moon that he's left. And John Garvin, who's the vice president creative at Liithos, and he was the former creative director and writer at Days Gone developer, Bend Studio, that I mentioned. So I just wanted to just call out this description of this NFT AAA game. I didn't say the AAA part, called Ashfall. And first of all, any game that has the word fall on it and minus grade fall is walking a thin rope there. Just look at Godfall. But they've touted it as the first true Web 3.0 AAA title for PC console and the Hedera network. And
Can I say, what a cursed quote that is?
And I'm not gonna. I've looked up the Hedera network, and it seems like it's a blockchain platform or something. I'm so ignorant of all this stuff, and I'm happy to be ignorant. But basically, the quote they have about this Ashfall is: Ashfall will have players fighting to survive in a world scarred by global warming, the ignited volcanic ring of fire, mysterious and disruptive energy fields, and warring enclaves, beginning as a connected single-player adventure that will evolve into a multiplayer PvP and PvE cinematic transmedia world. What a fucking quote. Like, oh my god. The fact that they're doing a game based around in a world scarred by global warming using NFTs and blockchain is just a level of irony that is just so sweet. It's so delicious.
And like this whole Web 3.0 crap, like, because, I understand those terms from Web 1.0, which is like the first web that we had, super useful. Web 2.0, making almost like the web more like an application, super
like
useful.
Facebook.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit beyond that even, but yeah, like, like WordPress, like it's kind of like an application, but it's all online, right? It's not something I download to use, right? Yeah. And these bastards are like hijacking this terminology and calling it like Web 3.0 to create this cursed fucking hellscape where they can sell their like apes and shit like that. I'm like, I hope it doesn't catch on. Like I always like look at Wikipedia as being like the record for the internet, right? and they refuse to change Web 3.0 to match these descriptions. Like they haven't changed. I'm sure there's battles going on about it at Wikipedia with the editors, but man, like I hate how they're calling it Web 3.0. It shits me so much.
Yeah, look, I, if this project ever comes to light, I think honestly the fact that NFTs are already so scarred, like the concept and in like the general perception of gamers and everything. By the time this game comes to be, we'll see whether or not that is still something that anybody wants. But yeah,
Well, yeah, and just on that, it's like I'm actually really shocked at how hard the NFT space has crashed so quickly. Like it was literally just like 2 years ago I heard about NFTs for the first time. Like the kind of concept of a smart contract I've known about for a long time, but for me it was actually about NBA cards. Like they had online NFT NBA cards, right? And the NBA actually did it. This is not some random,
yeah.
And I was shocked. I was like, whoa, people are spending $10,000 on a like online card of like LeBron James. I'm like, this is insane, right? And it just exploded from there.
And look, they're not NFTs, but I just remember I used to work with somebody who used to bet on Counter-Strike Go skins.
Yeah. That was a big
whole
thing,
market,
man.
That's like, I'm not saying they're blockchain or NFTs, but I remember at the time just being like, what? Like, why are these so valuable, these digital items? And the concept is not that far off, really. It's like that supply demand, like
Yeah.
dump and pump or whatever, pump and dump, I should say.
Because I'm just reading into it. It's like even with NFTs, when I heard about it in like 2020, right? The trading on the market, because a lot of it you can actually completely understand exactly how much trading is going on. It was 82 million in 2020, the NFT trade. 1 year later, 17 billion. So it went from 82 million, that marketplace, to 17 billion, a 21,000% increase. Like if you're talking about bubbles and things like that, it's like that's a good explainer for what a bubble is.
Is that higher or lower than that Super Mario 64 that sold for like 1.5 million?
No, it would be. This is higher. This is higher.
No. I'm saying the increase in value, like at the time. Like I remember it being something ridiculous, like 10,000%.
Well, this is almost 1,000-time increase, right? Yeah. So, you may be right actually, because even Mario 64s weren't selling for like thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's also, but that's also quote allegedly fraud and stuff like that. Potentially, we'll see the courts what they think of that. All right, like moving on to our last story.